Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Let's talk about Denny. Denny had a thriving business, a thriving training business, but then one day, a pandemic hit. In less than 48 hours, he lost almost 2/3 of his income. Everything was canceled. Ooh, sound familiar? Well, a lot of people were experiencing the same thing, but Denny had something in his back pocket. He was a live streamer. Since he was home, he hopped online and used his live streaming superpowers to teach people how to show up better online. And guess what? That got eyeballs and interest. And before you know it, he was being hired to teach about virtual experiences. That saved his business. But guess what? Other business owners began to do what he taught, and it helped them to stay afloat as well. How do I know this? Because I was Denny. Hey, today's show is all about agents and business owners and how they can use live streaming as a growth machine for their business. Y'all ready? Let's jump on in.
3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on in, storytelling. Time to begin with RK3, getting down to biz. Real estate pros and small town wiz. Oh, we're telling tales, we're selling dreams. Crafting your stories, cashing in on schemes. In the house of hustle where the jazz beats flow. Storytelling and selling, it's RK3 show.
Hey, my friends, welcome to the Storytelling and Selling Podcast. This is episode number 10. I'm your host, Robert Kennedy III, RK3. That's me, and I'm so glad that you're into space. Hey, in case you haven't heard, the whole idea of storytelling and selling is to support real estate pros and small business owners in their quest to unlock their sales superpower. I believe that your superpower is rooted in storytelling, so become a better storyteller. Become a better seller. It's all about connection. And when you connect, you're more likely to do business. And speaking of connection, our sponsor for this episode is Ecamm. Yes, Ecamm is the leading live streaming and video production studio built for Mac. You want to look better while presenting or in your meetings? Ecamm provides a simple to use, easy to learn interface that upgrades your quality from meh to magnificent. Ready to show the world that you're serious about creating quality content that captures leads? Then hop on over to Ecamm. Click on the link in our show notes or in the comments. Go to ecamm.com/RK3 and let them know that I sent you. Elevate your video presence with ease. Use Ecamm. As a segment of our show, we talk about what we call irrelevant revelations, where I share a quick nugget or a news item in real estate, small biz, tech, and storytelling. So let's jump on in to our first relevant revelation. Hey, you've got some stuff that's coming on up, the rise of filming locations. What are we talking about? Well, there's a fascinating trend in the real estate world for 2024, and that's the rise of filming locations and unique venues. So with the increasing number of content creators on platforms like YouTube and TikTok, there's a demand for distinctive spaces that can be used as filming locations. So unlike traditional Airbnb rentals, these venues typically cater to the specific needs of film crews, and they offer features like ample parking, fewer permit requirements, and unique looking areas. And so this highlights a trend or a shift from serving large production companies to accommodating individual content creators that are looking for unique backdrops for their content. And this is from uniqueglimpse.com. According to Social Insider, Reels are the biggest trend in small business. They achieve higher engagement than posts or stories. For how long? I don't know. We'll see. But right now, Reels are still hot. Let's go to this third one. Are your skies blue? Many users are leaving Twitter X, or whatever we want to call it, for a new social platform called Blue Sky. Users might also be turning to Blue Sky because it has a similar look and feel to the old Twitter or to X. It operates both as a website and an app, and it also has a list feature that allows you to add a collection of accounts into one group, and then you can make bulk decisions like blocking, muting, or following. Threads, anybody? Yeah. All right. That's from cbsnews.com. And our last segment, our last relevant revelation is personalizing your communications. You want to talk to your audience, personalize the conversation as much as possible. Use names, Use the word you. Use the description of the group you're talking to. This helps to grab or to draw attention and hyper personalize your communication. Check out the article in the show notes, weareaura.com. Let me know. What are your thoughts about these relevant revelations? Leave a comment on the YouTube channel and let us know. If you follow the podcast on Apple Podcast or Spotify, I'll share the links for this information in the show notes. And lastly, I believe that storytelling is the most powerful form of communication. And so I believe that one of the best ways to grow your business is through public speaking. So be on the lookout for our upcoming web series on 5 ways to grow your business with public speaking. Head on over to story2salesmastermind.com. Story2salesmastermind.com. Let us know that you're interested and we'll send you that information. All right, let's jump on in with our guest for today. Today, we are joined by the one, the only Ross Brand, the world's top expert in live streaming and digital media. According to my buddy ChatGPT, for those who are in the know, he's like the Tony Stark of video, tech savvy, innovative, and always a step ahead. So we're going to dive into the magic of live streaming with this content king. So here are a few things that you need to know about Ross. He's a live streaming pioneer. Before live video was cool, Ross was already making waves and turning viewers into customers. He's an author extraordinaire. His book, 100 Predictions for Live Streaming and Digital Media, is a must-read for anyone looking to dominate online. He's a podcast pro. Ross has interviewed some of the biggest names in the industry, delivering gold for entrepreneurs and small businesses. Brands trust him to amplify their authority and drive sales through live streaming. And he's also a media maestro. From his radio roots to being a digital trailblazer, Ross knows how to capture an audience like nobody else. Come on, let's get into it with Ross Brand, our live stream lieutenant. What's going on, dude?
What an intro. Oh my God. I want the version of ChatGPT you're using.
Yeah, it's the latest. It's the RK3 version. I don't know.
Well, thanks for having me, Robert. I love your show. I love what you're doing. And I was so honored to be invited to come on with you and talk about live streaming and digital media.
Well, your what you do definitely worked because you got my attention just seeing what you do on LinkedIn and some of the other platforms that you frequent. So let's jump on in, man. Let's talk about this whole live streaming thing. I mean, some people think it came about or became in vogue during the pandemic, but tell me a little bit about what live streaming was before everybody had to be home and online.
Right. So, I mean, basically, it started out as live video being streamed to social media and dedicated video online platforms. So that's how it started out. And I got my start on Blab, where a lot of people did. It was
Mm,
an app that didn't last long, but it had a big impact because it combined the ability to host talk shows on video with guests. It was super easy. It was integrated with Twitter, which was, in its prime at that time.
yeah,
And then also it had a lot of community features. So, my network just changed overnight to people who were in this space and doing shows and doing all sorts of online work. And that experience is kind of what launched me. It launched a lot of other people, but that goes back to prior to Facebook Live. And Facebook
yeah,
Live was the first big one to come online. There was Periscope before that, but that was like a one to many kind of thing. But then Facebook Live came along and people started using either third party tools or other means besides just natively going live on the platforms like Facebook to bring in guests and set up the kind of shows that we take for granted we can do now. But in 2015, 2016, 2017, that was still like a new thing, being able
yeah.
to do talk shows with guests. And then, you mentioned the pandemic, and to me, that was sort of live streaming's finest moment
Mm,
because it was a lifeline to people in business who, couldn't get the foot traffic into their stores anymore, or they couldn't meet with people in person. And, people did some really interesting and creative things with it, and it kept their business alive. And in some cases, they found a new line of business that they could
Yeah.
do remotely. But that's what spurred me to take what was an annual blog post and turn it into a book, because now this is of interest to the whole world, not just industry
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, because I was in the radio industry for a little
Right.
bit, long time ago as well. And when live streaming became publicly available, there were
Right.
some people who kind of turned their nose up at it because they said, you know what, this is going to downgrade what we do as journalists. It's going to decrease or diminish journalistic integrity, right? And so there were people that talked about. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are about that, because live streaming is so common, because it's so easily available. What does that mean for the integrity of journalism, or or shows? What does that mean for
Yeah.
people being able to be online?
So I think one thing that was really fortunate for me, and maybe for my ego, is that I was no longer in radio at the time I discovered live streaming. I was working in another field. I had kind of figured my broadcasting days were done, and I was totally okay with that. And so I didn't have like, these are my call letters and this is it. This was a totally new medium, and I wasn't even diving into host shows in the beginning. I was just interested in following it, and then I got the bug, and I've probably hosted 1,000 or something since then. But my point is that I was looking at it as a different kind of medium.
Mhm.
Every medium has its own advantages, right? Television, you've got the pictures. Radio, you've got the immediacy. You can get a guest on very quickly, or a reporter, just get them onto a phone, and you've got news, and people can call in. But live streaming's got this ongoing chat. And that's the advantage of live streaming, is that a live streaming show can be a community kind of event, and it's a
Yeah.
chance for you to interact in real time with people who enjoy your content or are fans of your brand, your business. And you can even invite them into seats and bring them onto the show. They can ask their questions live. There's just so many things you can do with it that a highly produced television show wouldn't be able to do on the fly or have time to do. And even radio likely wouldn't do, because even that's structured by ad breaks and news
Yeah.
and sports and weather and, the network. And then we get back to 8 minutes, and then we got to take a break again. So uh, in terms of like, did it hurt journalism? No, it opened the doors to independent journalism. It opened the doors to even traditional journalists being able
Yeah.
to go out with their phones and gather footage on their own, and connect with people on a different level, to show behind the scenes. I think radio's idea in the beginning was, what we do with video is we put a camera up in the corner, and we do like a simulcast, and everybody ignores the camera, and you get to look in. That was my idea when I started live streaming. I didn't really
Yeah.
look at the camera all that much. It's like, okay, I'm doing a radio show, but there's this video piece.
Yeah.
But now it's a normal thing for radio to have cameras in the studio, and for the radio folks to be addressing the camera at the same time that they're hosting the show. And then to take even a wider view on it, what are most video podcasts? But in a lot of ways, they're taking the radio concept, but it's a longer form, free form, no interruptions or few interruptions. But you're seeing video podcasts, which could be live or could be pre-recorded, but they can go anywhere from, a 10-15 minute conversation to 3 and 4 hours in
Right.
a row. And that's become a new level of journalism, in addition to entertainment, because we never got to know our political candidates and, you know business owners and other major figures that have influence over our lives in that kind of in-depth means. There just was nothing where they would sit down, whether you like them or not. Like, Joe Rogan has had a huge impact. You're talking about presidential candidates, you're talking
Yeah.
about major media figures, you're talking about people who are on for so many hours that at some point the mask has to drop a bit, and you learn a lot more about what their intentions are, how they approach their business, and it helps us know where people are coming from. So it might not be traditional, newspaper journalism and going to the town hall and things like that. Although that can be done more as well, because we're seeing that live streamed, where before we never saw what went on at City Hall unless we attended. So
Yeah.
I can't see any way that it's really a step back for journalism, other than, there's fewer gatekeepers, which means there's more voices and more information, but you as a consumer have to be discerning.
Yeah.
But you always really should have been discerning anyway when it was three networks, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
know it's a long answer, but there's so
That's
much
all right.
to it. There's a brilliant, brilliant question,
Yeah.
and something that isn't discussed enough, and it's a very positive thing, I think, for live streaming and video podcasting.
Yeah. So you mentioned Joe Rogan and a few other people who may be well-known
Hmm.
podcasters or known in the video podcast space. So let's dig into how business owners can use
Right.
this technology. So I think one of the challenges for business owners is they see a Joe Rogan, they see all these
Hmm.
other people online, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm not famous like them. I don't have the audience like them. Why would anybody pay attention to me
Hmm.
online, much less how can I even use this as a way to drum up or to grow business?" What would you say to those people? How does a business owner utilize this technology and still stand out?
Well, first of all, you're probably not going to do 3-hour shows, right?
Right.
You've got a lot on your schedule. But you've got to think in terms of, are you there just to build a big audience? Because that may not happen right away. It may not ever happen. Or are you thinking, how could my life change if you're, let's say, a real estate agent and you sold an extra house or two more houses this month versus your typical month? What would that do to your life? What would that do for your income? What would it do for your place in your industry? And so you got to think, what are the wins that, if you're a consultant, what if you got one extra client a month because somebody followed you online, followed your live streams, maybe asked you questions in the chat and saw you as being the answer to a problem that they're having, as being able to help them, having a product or service that they need. So think small scale in terms of business metrics, not social media metrics. Is this making an impact on my business? And I can tell you, I did a test once, and I rarely put out any type of call to action, which isn't what I advise clients. But for myself, I was a lot of times, sort of being the one who's sharing what's going on with the platforms and how to use them and where strategy goes. Um, and so I've had shows where I've had thousands of live viewers, right?
Right.
I went on live on a Facebook page that has nothing to do with live streaming or social media, and have very little following or activity. And I put out a very specific call to action for people to write me if they want to set up a meeting about XYZ. I had 10 live viewers, but I had 3 meetings.
Okay.
So having the right call to action and addressing a problem, which I was addressing something that affected people in a certain industry's careers and how they could overcome that challenge, and I had a solution for that, was very specific, and it wasn't going to get me many eyeballs, but the people who did watch and did find it interesting reached out to me. And so I've had shows with big audiences where no business has come out of it, because one, I probably didn't ask for any business, but two, um, people were there to be entertained, to learn how to do something, to check out the conversation with the guest about a topic that was relevant, but they weren't necessarily there to solve a problem. And Chris Stone and Jim Fuse, who are known as the Dealcasters on
Yep.
Amazon Live, they have a wonderful show, and they talk a lot about, instead of live selling, live solving. Are you
Mm,
solving a problem for people? Do you have a product or service that solves a problem? And it may not be selling your product or service, but being in that solving mindset when you're answering questions for people, when you're covering things that people want to know, you're taking questions from the chat, maybe your guest is addressing things that your audience is concerned about or needs to know. All that shows that you're a resource, and you become in their sort of mental Rolodex of places to go when they need help with whatever the product or services that you provide. So it's not always a quick time to market. Like
yeah.
I talk about real estate today, and tomorrow the house is sold. It may be somebody watches you for several months, and then all of a sudden they have to move, and
Right.
now they're thinking. And so if you want, I can either pause here or I can get into a little bit about what a couple ideas for the real estate that just came to mind with me with that question. If you want me to
Yeah, let's
sort of
talk about it because I definitely want people to have some very tangible takeaways that they can look at. I think the thing before you go into it that I
sure.
really want people to understand as well is if you're looking for a get rich quick scheme, or if you're looking for something that's going to flip a switch tomorrow, live streaming may not be it, but there are not many things that are. Most things that are going to generate income or they're going to generate revenue are they take a little bit of work, and also especially in this day and age where there are so many different options and opportunities available to people, you've got to garner their trust, you've got to get
Mm.
their attention. So yeah, go ahead with what you were going to share.
And repurposing is also a big part of it. Not everybody's going to
Yeah,
watch you live. How do you get in front of people in other ways, from emailing, blog posts, um, clips, reels, short segments that address a specific question? But
right.
I want to talk about two different ways to approach it. Okay. So you could be like, one way you could do it is you could be a live streamer who goes into the house that you want to show off, right? And like literally, here's the open house. I'm walking through it now. Come on down and join me. We're here all day. Let me show you what this living room looks like. How awesome that. Okay. So that's one way to do it. A second way to do it is you could literally go through listings in your area so that people who are looking for a house in that area, you're a source that they find, and SEO optimize that and all, so that um you're found quickly when somebody's looking for houses in XYZ city. And they find you got an audio podcast, maybe you're also putting the video on YouTube, and every week or every day or whenever it's, I don't know the cycles, but whenever you got some new listings out there, just go down and explain what they are and be that source of information, so somebody goes to you rather than advertisements in a newspaper or somebody else's website. Okay,
Yeah,
so those are two sort of short form and very focused on the product or service, right? The other way to do it, and this is a longer game, but it's also a bigger game, right? Is you become the podcast about the city or the town or the neighborhood where you're selling houses or you're renting apartments. So you talk about what's going on this weekend in that area, or you talk about great restaurant. You do one show on, my favorite Italian restaurant in town that everybody loves.
yeah,
And you have the mayor on one week, and another week you have a business owner, and another week you have maybe the all-state athlete from the football team, and in other words, you build a community around your community, and you
yeah.
become the place that people tune in, and then you make your business the sponsor. So hey, it's this week in Millersville, whatever,
Yeah.
we're going to be talking about our favorite Italian restaurant in town. The mayor's stopping by with an update on the new zoning rule over at blah, 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 blah. And we're going to take you through something about the history you never knew of Millersville Park. Today's show is brought to you by such and such
Yeah.
real estate listings. check them out on the web at blah, 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 blah. If you need help with anything, give me a call at the. Now let's get into, our featured guest, the
Yep.
mayor is, so to me, that opens two things. One, everybody who listens is going to know you're a real estate agent. It may not be the direct line to revenue that, going for that specific client at the moment is, but when everybody knows that you're Mr. or Mrs. Millersville, then they're going to, when they hear a friend, somebody wants to move to town, somebody in town needs to sell a house and move to the other side of town, whatever, needs a bigger place, they're going to go, hey, the one who hosts that podcast, talk to them. They know everything about the town. They know
Yeah.
everything and everybody,
Yeah.
including where all the good places are available. So to me, that's you choose which works for you. If you're very comfortable with the phone in your hand and very short form, like let's take a walk through, then do that. But if that's not natural to you, and it wasn't natural to me when I started, think about long form. Think about having a conversation. Long form doesn't have to be 3 hours. It could be a half an hour. It could be 20
Right.
minutes. But each week you talk about something or several different things related to your community. So people are coming by even when they don't need a house or they don't need to move or they don't need to sell. And then when they do, or somebody they know does, they already love you and trust you, and you've already been a wonderful resource, because think about all the great restaurants they found out because of you, and all
Right.
the opportunities for their children to go to summer camp or whatever it is you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um I, I think every real estate agent should look at their town, and if nobody's doing it, they should do it. And if somebody's doing it, then think about, could you do it differently, or could you do it better, or what angle aren't they covering?
Right.
You could do nothing but sports related to the town. You could do nothing but dining and entertainment, or clubs and churches and rec leagues, whatever you wanted, whatever's going on. There's somebody who could cover that, and there'd be an audience that's interested in that from that town, who are going to eventually one day be the people who need to buy or sell a house in that town.
I love it. I think one of the things, the takeaways that I had just now
Mhm.
that I hope everybody got was, it doesn't have to be a produced show like this.
Right.
You're probably watching this podcast, the storytelling and selling. You see me and Ross, and you see the different scenes going back and forth, and you see all of these different things, different cameras, microphones. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to set up all of that. Ross said, listen, grab this thing right here, right, and just start moving around. But I love the other part of what he said, of what you said. It wasn't that you weren't saying, I've got to come up with some great information or some mind blowing stuff. You're
Right.
talking about having conversations and talking about stuff that you might be talking about anyway, right? Act like you're talking with a friend, but this camera now is just allowing you to share it with a greater group of friends that
Right.
you might
Right.
just want to exchange information with.
Wherever you live, there's an author, there's a musician, there's a small business owner, there's somebody who owns a restaurant or a catering. Like, and all of them have friends and family, and so forth. And so, over time, you're going to build up interest, and people are going to say, what is, who's he or she talking to this week?
Yeah.
I don't want to miss that. This, I mean, I'm getting so excited about this idea. I'm thinking I might do it and see who needs live streaming services or video
Yeah.
podcast production in
I
my
love it.
hometown. But that's, I think, any of those are there's no right or wrong. Like you mentioned, reels and shorts and TikToks and things. If that's your thing, go for it. Don't You don't have to do a half an hour show. These are
Yeah.
just different possibilities. Connect to what you feel comfortable with and what an audience would resonate with.
Yeah.
Or you could do a hybrid where, you're doing short form, but maybe you're more comfortable, like I am. I'm more comfortable sitting in front of a microphone and delivering a computer than I am mobile, although I've gotten used to it over the years. So you could do a news type update of a couple of minutes with the latest things going on in your industry, or the latest products and services available. If it's real estate, what are the listings, what's available in
Yeah.
in your area, and do it that way. So there's so many different ways to approach it. And not let me just say one other thing, Robert. Not everything has to be live. Um,
Right. Okay.
if scheduling is difficult and you don't want to worry about, any sort of pre-promotion or anything like that, you could just as easily record a show like this, upload it to YouTube. You could premiere it if you want to have a chat audience, but you could just as easily upload it, distribute it as a podcast, and promote it, and you could do well with that. I mean, live streaming, obviously the benefit is there's an active chat and they could ask you questions and you could solve something or help somebody, and then you've built a little bit of a relationship already with your audience. But don't think that you have to go live if that's the challenge.
Yeah. So we're landing the plane now. We only have a certain amount of time for this show, people, because Robert's got to eat his lunch too, and I think Ross might. Let's land here, Ross. If you had somebody who did not know anything about live streaming, but they're like, man, I don't want to miss this opportunity. I want to use this not just for real estate, but any small business. I want to grow and maybe increase my sales using this medium. Quickly, what are the 2 quick steps that you would recommend that they take first?
I'd say think about a show, think
Mhm.
about a show title, think about, sort of a time and a place and destination that when you're gonna record it. Think about, are you going to go live? If you're going to go live, maybe have it on a regular schedule in the beginning, just so that you keep doing it, and so that those people who become an audience start getting the muscle memory of showing up. But I would say really it all comes down to find a simple equipment, set up a webcam, set up an external microphone. Can be an inexpensive one, but something that sounds better than going through your computer's built-in microphone or your webcam microphone. Don't be afraid to have it kind of close to you. Sound good before you look good, because the value is going to be in the audio more than the
Yeah.
video. It's in what you're saying. And don't be afraid to practice a little bit in the beginning. Do a couple on your personal profile on Facebook for your friends and family. Don't even talk about your business or real estate, and just get comfortable and know where the off button is when you're done. I mean, I remember my first Periscope. I'm like, how do I get out of here now? Where do I right. So, you can practice a little bit, but ultimately just make a commitment to maybe doing it for 12 weeks or something, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, something in that range. Don't judge it by the first one. The first one might not be super comfortable, but over time, I think you'll see, is this right for you? And if it isn't, then think about, is it the format? Maybe, is it the medium? Is it the topic? And then there's a lot with audio and video you can play with to find the right thing for you.
Love it. Ross, thank you so much, everybody. Check out Ross at livestreamuniverse.com or his Substack site, rossbrand.substack.com. This has been a phenomenal show. I hope you were able to connect with today's stream of consciousness. Well, it was probably a bit more intentional than that. But if it did not connect with you, if you're not sure where you connected, or if there was so much that was good that you connected with, go back and hit that replay button. Better yet, grab a notepad and listen at half speed. we are in a different time, a time where you must be seen in order to sell. I know. It can be overwhelming and may feel like a lot, but here's the beauty. You can just be you, except with a camera and a mic. You can be you with a story, and that story may help you make a sale. This has been a great show. Come join us for the next episode. We do these live, but you can always grab the replays on YouTube, LinkedIn, and of course, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Remember to text podcast to 240-557-8679 so that you can know when we're going live next. Until next time, be stellar, storyteller.
In the game of life, it's all about the tale. Crack your story right, every ship will to the beat where the deals are made. RK3's mic as sharp as a blade. Pros and biz, come take a ride. In this podcast, dreams collide.
From open house to startup glam, strategy so slick they'll put you on the map.